Alright, welcome to today's quick vid. Today's quick vid is going to be dealing with the volume. And basically with volume, there are three type of items that you're going to have to deal with. Number one is finding volume. So just finding the volume. The other type is if you're trying to find the radius. And finally, if you're trying to find the height. Okay? Another thing to keep in mind, all formulas are on the pssa formula sheet. And then finally, one of the few catches are, those are my two lovely assistants, Tobias and Gabriella in the background, and Ollie in the side. Okay, and finally the last thing you have to worry about is making sure you're dealing with the radius and not the diameters. Because remember, the diameter is all the way across, so if this diameter was 18, that would mean that the radius would actually be half that, which is 9. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so go to your packet and take a look at the first page. So we're just quickly going to go through this because, again, this should mostly be review for most of you guys. So here we have a cone. So the volume of a cone, again, you get from the formula sheet, is 1/3 pi r squared h. So just fill in the missing numbers. We know that the height is 10 and the radius is 3. Okay, so the radius being 3. So now just simply fill in all the numbers. V equals 1/3 times 3.14. Oops, forgot my h there. Times r squared, which is 3 squared, times my height, which is 10. So now take your calculator and enter in the fraction. All you have to do to enter in the fraction button is hit the number 1, then the fraction button, which is a couple spaces above the 7, put the 3 in, times 3.14 times 3 squared times 10, and you end up getting the volume equals 94.2 meters cubed. Okay, this one over here is the sphere. The volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So in this problem, all we have to worry about is the radius, which is 14 in this case. So volume equals 4/3 times 3.14 times 4 cubed. So enter that straight into the calculator. 4/3 is a fraction times 3.14 times 4 cubed. Give you a second. I'm going to enter that. That works out to be 11,488.2 centimeters cubed. Okay, now the more difficult ones when you're actually trying to find one of the radiuses or the height. So in these next two, we're going to be looking for the radiuses. Now, if that is the case, they are going to give you the volume. See, the volume is as follows, and in the cone, the volume is as follows. So go ahead and write down the formula for the cylinder. So volume is pi r squared h. So now fill in all the information that we know. We know the volume is this. So I'm going to rewrite 452.16 equals pi is 3.14. I don't know the radius, so I'm going to leave that as radius squared times radius squared. The height they give us is 4. Okay, so now I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to multiply 3.14 times 4 to just clean up this side. So again, I'll rewrite 452.16 equals, so that's 12.56 times r squared. Okay, now I want to get r squared by itself, so I will need to get rid of this 12.56. Well, they're attached by multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by that. When you divide both sides by 12.56, you end up getting 36 equals r squared. Now that is not r. There might be a possible answer that says 36, but that's not the radius. It's the radius squared. So how do I find what r is? Well, I've got to take the square root. Take the square root of 36, and most of you should already know that the square root of 36 is 6. So the radius is 6. Okay, take a look at the cone here. Again, same thing. We're trying to find the radius here. So write the formula for cone. So that's volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So fill in the missing information. I know volume, I know height. So let's go ahead and work that in. So volume is 301.44 equals 1/3 times 3.14 times r squared times the height, which is 18. Now again, I'm going to clean this up by multiplying this, and this. So I'm going to enter my calculator 1/3 times 3.14 times 18. And when I do that, I end up getting 18.84 times r squared. Again, just like I did in the previous problem, I need to get r squared by itself. Divide both sides by 18.84. And you end up with 16 equals r squared. Take the square root of both sides. Square root of 16 is 4, so the radius is 4. Okay, almost done here. Take a look at the next page. Now in this case, we're going to be finding the height. So when finding the height, it's basically the same thing. You need to set up the formula, fill in all the information that you know, and then find the missing piece of information, which would be the height here. So here again, I have a cone. So volume of cone is volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So I know everything but the h, so I'm going to fill in my volume, which is 251. I get that from above the shape, 0.2 equals 1/3 times 3.14 times r squared, which is 4 squared, times my h. So now I'm just going to multiply these three items together. Take your calculator, do 1/3 times 3.14 times 4 squared. And that's going to give us, I don't know, a big long number. We're going to estimate it a little bit. And that's going to be 16.747 times h. And just like in the previous problem, I want to get rid of this that's in front of the h. To get rid of it, divide both sides by that number. So when you divide both sides by 16.747, you end up with something like 14.99999, but in reality that is super close to just 15. So 15 equals our height. So 15 inches would be our height there. Okay, so take a look at the cylinder here. And volume for a cylinder is pi r squared h. So again, what are we looking for? We're looking for the height. I know the radius. Now let's see how many people can be careful here. So the volume I know is 2034.72 equals 3.14. Now a lot of people will put 12 as the radius. Well, that's not the radius, that's the diameter. The diameter is 12. So the radius has to be half that, which is 6. So the radius is going to be 6 squared times h. So again, clean up this side, multiply those two numbers together. 2034.72 equals 113.04 times height. Now, again, it's attached to the h with multiplication. How do we get rid of that? Division. Divide both sides by 113.04. And you end up with 18 equals our height. Okay? Now the last problem. Word problem, a cylinder has a height of 20 feet and a radius of 10 feet. What is the volume of the cylinder? Well, notice all the answers have pi in them. Well, almost all the answers have pi in them. So that means I'm going to leave pi as pi. I'm not going to multiply it by 3.14. So I know it's a cylinder. So this volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So again, I'm going to leave pi as pi and not 3.14. So radius is 10, so that's 10 squared. Times the height of 20. So volume equals pi times 100 times 20. 100 times 20 is 2,000 pi. So the answer to this problem would be B, 2,000 pi. Okay? Alright, so go ahead and work on the rest of the packet for homework tonight. There are a bunch of different volume problems. There's finding volume, finding height, and finding the radius. Just make sure that you're working with the radius and not the diameter. Please use the formula sheet. If you need to take the picture of the formula sheet for homework tonight, please do so, or just write all the formulas down before you leave for class today. Okay? If you have any questions, please see your teacher. Okay, good luck.